Okay, Algebra 1. This is our lesson. You need to take notes on your own paper. And this is the kind of work you should also show on your monitoring progress and assignment that you need to upload to Google Classroom to get full credit for those. So, write the title 1.3 Solving Equations. So, we've been solving equations, right? Solving equations. But now, with variables on both sides. So it's getting, we're taking it up a level. You should be writing your name on your notes, your monitoring progress, your assignment. You should write your period. You should write the date. You should write the title. For the monitoring progress, you should write monitoring progress, the page number, the problem numbers. For the assignment, you should write that it's the assignment and the problem numbers. Make sure you finish them all and show your work. So we're going to do a few examples today together. And make sure you watch this video all the way through because we have some special cases. You need to take a page of notes. All these need to be in your notes to get credit for your notes. So here's an equation. And we've been solving these. The major difference here compared to last week is that we have x's on both sides. We have variables on both sides. So our first thing is let's get the variables together on the same side. Now, to get rid of them on one side, we have to undo them. We have to do the inverse operation. That's positive 2x. We're going to subtract 2x to get rid of it. And we're allowed to do that as long as we balance it out and do the same thing to both sides. So, show that work. Down here, we get 3x, 5x minus 2x, and minus 9 equals 12. So that's our new equation. And now this problem just looks like the ones we were doing last week. So we want to get the x by itself, solve for x. So we're going to get rid of addition and subtraction first, reverse order of operations. Add 9, get rid of the minus 9, get to the same thing both sides. So now we have 3 x's on the left. On the right, we have 21. Last step, we need to get rid of the 3 times by dividing by 3. Do the same thing on both sides. The answer is 7. Box your answer, please. Now, I want you to check your answers. And the way we check our answers, it's kind of a simple thing to do. Just plug back into the original equation. So I'm going to just write the original equation here real quick. And we're going to plug it in for the x's. Now, whenever I plug values in, or kind of anything into another equation, I put in parentheses. Otherwise, if I didn't, it looked like 57 instead of 5 times 7. And I think that's just an easy thing. A lot of times that helps avoid a lot of problems. So 5 times 7 is 35. You got to use order of operations now. 2 times 7 is 14. 35 minus 9 is 26. 14 plus 12 is 26. And it checks. We're good. Now, if it doesn't check, it doesn't necessarily mean you're bad. Don't erase all your work. You might have messed up your check, actually. And it might have been a really simple mistake in your work. And maybe most of your work is good still. So just see if you can go back and look back through your work. If you can't find it, it is possible. Maybe a good idea might be to just start the problem over again. Okay, here's our next example. We'll make this one a little more fun. Throw some fractions in there. Throw a little more layers of stuff. Now, generally, what you want to do before you start solving it all, before you start undoing, moving stuff from one side to the other, is you kind of want to simplify both sides. And so if there's parentheses, what we could do is we could distribute the multiplication to get rid of the parentheses, which is going to make it easier. So 2/3 times 1/3 That's going to become a 1, but this guy also is going to get the 3, so that's going to become a 3. So you have to reduce this 3 with both of those separately. When you reduce it here, it doesn't go away for this guy. So we're going to have 2x plus 6. Now, if that's confusing, what you could do first is you could just write it out 2/3 times 3x plus 2/3 times 9. If you feel like that would make it easier to understand. Over here, we got to distribute the negative also. It's going to be negative 4x, and it's going to be minus 12, negative 2 times 6. Now, we have a problem that looks kind of like the last one. We have x's on both sides. You can get rid of the x's on either side and move them to either side. I personally like to get rid of, I like to get the x's on the left side, but I also like to get rid of negative or the smaller amount of x's, because what happens is you always kind of end up with like positives. If we did it the other way, minus 2x from both sides, we have like negative 6x here, and I feel like negatives are just more possible to make errors with. Okay, so we've got our x's together on the same side. Now we want to start solving to get x by itself. And do the plus 6, minus 6. And so we get negative 18. I'm going to divide both sides by 6. And we get negative 3. Let's check our answer by plugging it back in to the original equation. So I'm just going to rewrite that real quick. All right, so I'm going to plug it in parentheses. This one's a little more work to check. Plug in negative 3 in for x everywhere. And then, let's do order of operations. So you do stuff in parentheses first, and you do multiplication first in there. So it's going to be negative 9 plus 9. And over here, we're going to do this first, negative 6 plus 6. And negative 9 plus 9 is 0. And negative 6 plus 6 is 0. And 2/3 times 0 is 0. And negative 2 times 0 is 0. So that's good. Good sign. Now, next I want to talk about a couple special weird situations that'll pop up. Okay, so these are the special, I'm going to spell that, special cases. Okay, special cases. One of the special cases is no solution, meaning there is no answer. Okay, so let's do an example where that's going to happen. So let's just write it first. 3 parentheses 5x plus 2 equals 15x. Okay, pause the video if you need to catch up and write it down. Let's just pretend like, we're going to go and solve it. So we'd say, let's simplify. Let's get rid of these parentheses first. 15x plus 6. And then you might be like, well, okay, we got x's on both sides, so let's get rid of them on one side and move them all to one side. So say, well, we're going to subtract 15x. And you got to do the same thing on both sides. And then what? All the x's go away. Well, okay, we're not done. Let's write it down. What do we have? 6 here equals, what do we have over here? It's not blank. We write 0. Now here's the deal. Does 6 equal 0? No. So a lot of times you draw a line through equal signs mean not equal. This is false, right? This never makes sense. This is not stuff that you need to write on your homework. Just letting you know. Never makes sense, right? Nothing you can plug in for x will ever make this true. So the answer is no solution. There is no answer that will work. Okay? Now don't confuse this when you check your answers on these other problems and it turns out wrong. That just means you messed up, right? You got an answer, you should have an answer, but your answer doesn't work. Here, we're trying to find the answer, and this shows up. Okay, the other special case is identity. Okay, that's going to be the other answer. So, when you see identity, it's also infinite solutions, which kind of probably is an answer that kind of describes a little more what's going on. When you see identity, you might think like identical twins. So let me show you a problem, and we'll see what happens here. -2 parentheses 4y plus 1 equals -8y minus 2. So write that down. Pause the video if you need to. Let's go ahead and, try and, solve this. So we would say, well, let's simplify both sides. -8y minus 2. You guys distribute the negative with the 2. Right-hand side is simplified. And do you guys see that? Both sides are exactly the same. Both sides are identical, right? They're the same. That's identity, okay? Now, I'll explain in a second. Let's say, and if you see that, that's enough to go ahead and write the final answer, which I haven't written yet. Okay, but let's say you didn't notice that. You're like, okay, let's go ahead and keep solving. So you're like, okay, well, I want to get the y's on the same side. So I'm going to add 8y, add 8y. And oh my goodness, that's weird. This is just like the last one, right? All the variables go away. Now, just because the variables go away doesn't mean no solution, okay? Let's write down what's left. That's what's going to tell you. -2 equals -2. Well, that's always true, right? That's always true. This isn't something that you would have to write in the homework, the always true part. It's always true, which means no matter what you plug in for y, -2 will always equal -2. It's you can't pick a wrong y value. Like any y value works. So that's identity. So I want you to write identity, but I also want you to write something that is a little more meaningful, probably. Infinitely many solutions. Infinitely many solutions. That's your answer. Okay? Don't confuse this for when you check your answer. So when you check your answer and you get that, don't write identity infinitely many solutions. You had an answer, you figured out it worked. Here we're trying to solve, we never get a y value, and we get this true solution when we're trying to solve it. Okay. All right. This is the kind of work, the way I want you to show your work, box your answers on your monitoring progress. So you're going to do, for your class work, this is also on Google Class assignment. You're going to do monitoring progress in the student dynamic ebook. And that's going to be starting at page 20, problems 1 through 7 all. Okay. So on the monitoring progress sheet where you show all your work, write this at the top with your name, date, period. Okay. And then after this, you're going to do your assignment for the day. And your assignment is going to be Big Ideas Online. And you go to the assignments tab and you go to the 1.3 assignment. And you do problems 1 to 29 odd. Now, these are the same problems that are in the book, but I want you to submit it through Big Ideas Online. But you got to show all your work on a piece of paper and upload that to Google Classroom when you're done to get credit. So I hope this helped. Go and try it, and check back in at the end of class to ask for help if you have questions.